And so for me, and maybe this comes from having watched films when I was too young that like really disturbed me and impacted me in negative ways. Like Carrie was another film that I just was not ready for Carrie. It really fucked with me. And those images in Carrie that just penetrated in a way that I wasn't happy about. And I don't know. I just the hope for me is always I want to make something that like stays with you. I want to like put images in your head that you can't easily dismiss or that you can't move immediately away from.
Ari Aster, an influential psychological horror director and screenwriter who oftentimes dabbles in disturbing and uncomfortable films, is a name that is categorized with many other great film directors in their prime. Most known for his blockbuster works including Midsommar, Hereditary, and most recently Beau is Afraid. Ari Aster had been intrigued by films since the age of 7 and was constantly broadening his movie viewing catalog, setting himself up to put out an array of his own successful works. After graduating from the College of Santa Fe as well as from the AFI Conservatory with a film and directing degree in 2009 and 2010, he wrote his first screenplay for The Black Duffel Bag. It won the SCSFE Actors' Choice Award along with being a top 10 finalist in the Creative Screenwriting Expo's Open Contest. Not long after, he put out one of his most recognizable short films, 2011's The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. This really showcased and exposed people to the uncomfortable themes in creative screenwriting that is almost always attached to his films. Midsommar is the film that really introduced his style and talent to the mainstream sources. Aster is notable for astounding artistic cinematography along with the unknown endings forcing audiences to dissect and contemplate the little details. His intrigue with suspense is evidently displayed in the slow buildup of his storytelling. The normalcy showcased in the beginning slowly trickles down into a disturbing piece. University Press's article on Ari Aster's most famous films describes his works as genuinely dark and traumatic, and even go as far as to describe him as a horror icon, which is a very deserving title. The dedication Aster proves in the cinematography and suspenseful pace that slowly builds up is greatly executed in a sense that it manipulates filmgoers with a natural and regular opening compared to the eventual chilling and unsatisfyingly corrupt ending, with the characters often falling into their conquering and exploitation. However, despite him often being described as a horror and thriller director, he disagrees. In a 2018 interview, he said that he does not consider himself a horror director because he rather focuses and bases his storylines around the dramatic and traumatic lives of the characters. This statement is redundant to me due to the fact that the characters' dramas in life consist of a plethora of horrific aspects, which his films focus on for a wide majority of the film. For example, in Hereditary, the family is living a somewhat normal life until supernatural and cult elements destroy and dramatize their lives, completely reshaping their family dynamic. Although the story focuses on a normal family, the trials they go through in the film is filled with horror elements and completely dependent on them to make the film what it is. This is also present in Midsommar as the story is set up off of the struggling and mentally abusive relationship of the two main characters, Danny and Christian. However, the conjunctive story that plays into their toxic lives is the festival and growing cult that infiltrates Danny. Although the overall storyline of the film is very sad and traumatic, it can be described as a thriller. However, the events and details that characters have to undergo are that of a horror film. The Strange Thing About the Johnsons does not contain supernatural plots, yet it still manages to shock, disgust, and alarm viewers. Hereditary, Midsommar, and The Strange Thing About the Johnsons subjects the audience to related feelings of the characters and experiences, eliciting fear, disturbance, and shock with dark elements and themes, all traits of a classified horror work. Despite their frightening motifs, all of these films contain common themes, including grief, abuse, isolation, and loss and dependency. These deeper messages break the surface-level storylines accumulated to induce fear to rather inject an additional reason to sympathize with and gain appreciation for the characters. Another aspect that is apparent, charming, and frequently used in many of his recent films are colorful, artsy, and almost childlike set designs and color palettes. This contrast to the pain and intense fearful emotions projects an often commonly eerie feel. The amazing acting performances, the absurd and disturbingly unique storylines that enforce insight and deep critical and psychologically analytical reflection, and the artistically pleasing cinematography all result in the outstanding works of Ari Aster's final products. Perfectly described as stated in an Ari Aster interview, I try to avoid traditional coverage wherever I can, and I like to draw shots out as long as I can without it becoming indulgent or distracting. I really love shot sequencing, and I map out the blocking and what the camera is doing in relation to the blocking long before production. I typically get really involved with camera movement. He has strong faith in and respect for cinematic artistry that is cohesive with the original and eccentric story. What is so beautiful is also so horrific.